It was a bomb morning in Novorossiysk, so we even wrote some of our media. There were explosions there all night, and our drones flew, our good drones there. And they bombed the terminal, and the port infrastructure, and the terminal, which is a legitimate military target. But for some reason, the fascist air defense system from the city began to shoot down drones that fly over the port. He is a little to the side. Since they were beaten almost directly, the flight path of the air defense systems was quite low. Some of these air defense systems fell on the head of the upper stage. By the way, I told you about it on Saturday. For example, the Shell C-1 missiles and some missiles hit residential buildings. The air defense missiles of the Russians themselves, hit their own residential complexes. There was a graduation party in Novorossiysk that night. Accordingly, the graduation was quickly curtailed because it was necessary to run for cover. Well, we also sleep in the subway at night. War is a mutual process. Whoever came with a sword, he will surely perish. This is folk wisdom. We didn't come to anyone, they came to us. Therefore, we respond with all the forces and means that we have. There was also a morning drone fuss in the Krasnodar near Moscow. Krasnodar. Our kind drones also flew there, and the target was the Krasnodar chemical plant, which also works exclusively for the defense industry, and some of the drones reached the facility. A huge fire broke out there, which is being liquidated there by a huge number of the Ministry of Emergency Situations. Units of the Ministry of Emergency Situations of the Russian Federation. Even the mayor of Moscow said that yes, some of the drones were shot down. Well, as always, under the phrase, I already understand that under the phrase of these fascist governors, mayors there, and the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation, when they say that strategic debris fell on the object, and suddenly something exploded there and a fire started, it can be said that drones, our drones, reached, having overcome the air defense of the Russian Federation, having reached the goal. And since we and our good drones visited the Russian Federation on Saturday and Sunday and flew there in large numbers, in the airspace of the Russian Federation, naturally, a carpet plan was announced along the route of our drones, at the airports of the Russian Federation. In other words, the planes all landed, no one rose in the air, and everyone was sitting on the ground. No one was flying anywhere. As a result of this plan, the carpet at the airports of the Russian Federation, especially in large cities such as Moscow and St. Petersburg, collapsed. In 2 days, almost 500 flights were cancelled in 2 days. These are the airports of Moscow, St. Petersburg, and other cities of the Russian Federation. And since the flights do not take off, and the passengers of the next flights arrive, the airports were, and they are still filled to capacity. Airlines are not ready for such a situation turned out to be completely extremist. No accommodation for passengers whose flights have been cancelled or postponed, no feeding, nothing. Crowded airports are all sleeping on the floor waiting, but they are afraid, because now you will leave the airport, and suddenly the flight will be cancelled, and the flight will fly. And the tickets are bought, someone on vacation, someone on a business trip, someone somewhere. So, this carpet from the plan alone, which caused a transport collapse at Russian airports on the 5th, 6th of July, that is, yesterday and the day before yesterday, is estimated at 20 billion rubles. Converting this into human currency at the rate of the National Bank of Ukraine, the amount of damage is about $236 million. Well, as I said, 500 flights, and if the first hours of individual characters they're called for patriotism. Like let's endure, we are there for the war, we are for Putin. Even at some airports, Katyusha was sung in chorus, then in a day the desire to sing disappeared, even from such active patriots. So everything went down the drain. Vacations, business trips, money, plans, and everything else. People are sitting or lying down sleeping on the floor in airport buildings. So it's not fair that they will soon have to sleep at metro stations in major cities where there is one. Since drones will get to military facilities and in the cities themselves. The air defense system of the Russian Federation, we must pay tribute, it is weakening every day. We are knocking out more and more air defense systems. Our drones overcome the object air defense systems. There is no longer a frontal air defense in the Russian Federation. I'll tell you right away, don't even look for it. There is only an air defense facility that tries to cover individual objects on the territory of the Russian Federation. There are some remnants of frontal air defense around Moscow. That's where it's still there. Putin doesn't give a damn about anything else. Drones will fly there, they will not fly, they will crash the plant there, or they will not crash. And of course, I can't bypass our service, the Security Service of Ukraine, which continues to work systematically. Finally, she resumed, I must pay tribute. The head of the service, Vasily Malyuk, resumed work on oil refineries. In particular, the Krasnodar territory. The SBU drones flew, and our drones struck the Oleh oil refinery in the Krasnodar territory. This was stated in the Security Service of Ukraine. By the way, this is one of the defining plants. In my opinion, it is among the top 5, and we have already beaten it. That is, the shutdown of this plant. Why is it not the first time they beat? Because the plant is very large, and there are quite a lot of such oil refining columns there. So we still have to work and work. But it is, let's say so, it is one of the defining plants, and its shutdown will hit the oil market of the Russian Federation. The domestic market of the Russian Federation very hard. Earlier, the attack was reported by the operational staff of the Krasnodar Territory Administration. According to the source of the service, as a result of the attack, there was a hit in one of the technological workshops, which led to a fire and the shutdown of part of the production processes. The operational headquarters confirmed that the wreckage of the drone, here again you see, the operational headquarters is meant in the Krasnodar territory, fell on the territory of one of the technological workshops of the Oleh oil refinery, but denied that there was a fire and the plant received visible damage. Here. So, well, the fire can't be hidden. The smoke is black, so the locals post photos, post videos. And we do an object assessment of the damage caused by these photo-video materials. EMS is part of the military-industrial complex of Russia. The plant is involved in the conduct of the war, especially the Krasnodar territory. This plant works just for the grouping of the Southern Military District, which is where all the logistics of this Eastern Front is sitting or hanging. So the plant has been a target for our drones more than once. Well, we hope that we will finish him off in the end. But I will say this, since the strikes on the refinery have resumed, the main thing is that it should not be a single strike. Then our service, as Vasily Malyuk said, it will get any enemy at any distance. Well, to hit the refinery, by the way, they have always been record holders. In our country, I mean the Security Service of Ukraine, was a record holder. More than 2022 objects they hit were oil refineries and oil depots on the territory of the Russian Federation. So I think that they will continue this way, and will continue to smash the oil industry, the fascist oil industry. And the tanks will not go anywhere without diesel fuel. And these are GLA and armored combat vehicles, too. And you can't bring racists into the personnel, because the car needs to be refueled with something.
Head over to TNUA on YouTube to watch the full video. There's much more. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to stay in the loop.